All right, good morning, everyone. Wanted to welcome everyone to today's webinar, where we're going to be speaking with Tidewater and learning how they created a global SAP platform on AWS in less than 9 months. To kick things off, my name is Carl Bacher. I'm from AWS, and I'll be the speaker and moderator for today's webinar. And let's get started. Perfect. So first and foremost, let's do some introductions. I'll start with myself, but we have an all-star cast here today from both Proterra and Tidewater. My name's Carl Bacher. I've been with AWS for 5 years in a variety of roles supporting customers in SAP and AWS. Most recently, I'm responsible for some of our key SAP accounts in North America. Looking forward to leading and moderating the presentation today. Again, we've got an all-star lineup with one of our premier partners and a wonderful customer story. So I'll hand it off to Alan just quickly here for an introduction, and then we'll do the same for Lee as well.
Thanks, Carl. Welcome to those listening today or on the replay. Alan Manuel here. I'm responsible for products and marketing at Proterra. And again, very excited to be joining you and the audience today to talk about this story.
Thanks, Alan. Lee, quick intro from your side.
Yeah, hello, I'm Lee Johnson, VP and CIO of Tidewater. I'm glad to be part of this webinar with you and Carl to share Tidewater's recent transformation and journey.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Lee. Looking forward to presenting with you here this morning. All right, so getting things started, I want to start with an instant poll, right? So understanding we've got looks like a large audience here, close to 100 folks looking at today's webinar. Want to understand where you are in today's journey respective to SAP and cloud migration. So if you're in the webinar and if you would mind polling and voting in on your current status, this will help us get a better understanding of who we're supporting here today on today's webinar. I'm seeing lots of results pop in. Lots of votes. All right, awesome. Just give it a couple more seconds here for people to get in some final votes. Just curious again where you are today in terms of your SAP and cloud migration plans. Maybe 10 more seconds for some last final minute votes. 5 seconds. All right, perfect. Why don't we share the results or move forward to the next item? So pretty even balance here. Looks like about 24%. We have an active project underway, so it's definitely be relevant for those folks here on the call to learn about the key learnings as part of a migration of an SAP ERP to cloud. Plans for starting cloud migrations, again, about 26% there, which again would be great for the blueprinting phase of those involved in an SAP migration project to the cloud. And then 46% showing that we're not looking at any current project at the time. So maybe this will give you some good insights as to perspectives for the future. So okay, so let's jump into it and talk about the AWS platform here quickly. Flip to the next slide. All right. Okay, so I want to start things off with talking about AWS as a certified platform for SAP workloads. And the way that I begin this discussion with all of my customers and partners is we need to have a business driver or compelling event to move SAP workloads. As all of you are aware, SAP is a mission critical platform running businesses transactions, and ultimately you need to be able to find a compelling event or a driver to make any kind of delta or any type of change in that system. So specifically from the AWS side of being in this business for over 10 years, these are the common drivers that we see for our customers to migrate or implement a new ERP. We're going to talk about a lot of these components here today with both Lee and Alan and their use case. So specifically, probably one of the easy ones that a lot of people think of is cost reduction, right? So moving from your current infrastructure platform to a cloud-based platform to take advantage of the OpEx operating model and the scalability of the cloud platform. So we'll talk a lot about that in the Tidewater example. Second, in a similar note, is data center and technical debt retirement, meaning that systems are due for a hardware refresh or there's a change that needs to happen in an SAP environment, which requires a new hardware configuration. Third would be digital transformation. So certainly many customers are on their journey of S4 transformation right now and evaluating what's the best platform and the best solution to host those S4 solutions for their company in the future. Definitely a new emerging area that we're seeing a lot of focus in is unlocking the value of data and analytics with SAP ERPs running on the AWS platform. So specifically looking at the ability to unlock the value of the master and transactional data inside of an SAP system and integrate it with other native cloud-based services, such as data lakes, AI/ML, IoT, things of that nature. On the right side of the business drivers here, we talk a lot about business or process transformation, meaning that by moving SAP to a cloud-based platform, you're able to accelerate agility and staff productivity by using techniques and tools such as DevOps, such as automation, such as AWS CloudFormation. You're also not bound by data center limits or performance scaling, meaning that the AWS platform is dynamic and can change with your business needs as you maybe need additional capacity or need reduced capacity in certain scenarios. Overall, the AWS platform provides all workloads, including SAP workloads, improved security and resilience in terms of our certifications of security standards on the AWS platform. And last but not least is AWS works very, very closely with customers running SAP workloads on the platform to develop industry-specific solutions. So again, as we're approaching our customers and working with our partners, we're looking for common business drivers that will help build the use case for an SAP migration to AWS. And these are some of the most common ones that we see. Specific to our roadmap, certainly SAP and AWS is not a new business for AWS. It's not a new business for our partners such as Proterra have been doing this for a number of years. Just a quick timetable, AWS as a company starts in 2006. 2 short years later, SAP themselves become a customer of the AWS platform. So they, like many of our other customers, utilize the platform for our infrastructure and scalability. But since that time frame, we've really been able to build an incredible relationship of SAP as a customer, SAP as a partner, and a large SAP and AWS community and partner network to support those customers. Most recently, we announced in the 4th quarter of 2019 that AWS has 5,000 active customers running on our platform from the SAP perspective, and over half of those 5,000 customers are running in a HANA configuration. So certainly, again, this has been a business that we've been focused in investing and building for a number of years, including the ability to scale this business with our partners such as Proterra. Specifically, the key 3 key investment areas that we focus in as an SAP and AWS business are as follows. One is our infrastructure platform. Quite simply, SAP requires some really incredible infrastructure to support these mission-critical environments. And year over year, we invest in our infrastructure platform for SAP certified instances, where we are able to, again, support the latest product releases and technology from SAP in a HANA scale-up and scale-out perspective. Currently, today, our limits for a scale-up S4 environment are at 48 terabytes, so a substantially large environment, and our BW scale-out limits are 100 terabytes. So again, we as a company invest heavily in the infrastructure platform for SAP environments. By all means, not all of our customers are running that on that high end of a scenario, but we have options and building blocks in between for customers to move throughout our ecosystem. Second is investment in our partners. We're constantly working with our partners to help customers accelerate their migration to AWS. This could be from tools and programs in place, and ultimately training for our partners as well to make sure that they have the tools and knowledge equipped to serve our customers the best that they can. And last is a new area where we've been investing in the SAP program for a little over 2 years now, where we specifically help customers and partners unlock the value of SAP data on the AWS platform. That's what I talked a little bit about earlier, integrating SAP data from a master and transactional sense into a data lake, into an Amazon Echo skill, into AI and ML model. So again, 3 key verticals that we continue to invest in the AWS platform: infrastructures, our partner, and the ability to unlock the value of SAP data going forward. So at a high level, why AWS for SAP? So as we look at those compelling events for customers and our roadmap of serving over 5,000 customers over a decade in the platform, ultimately for us at a high level, it boils down to 3 areas. A complete cloud solution for business innovation. So when we speak to our customers about SAP and AWS, certainly we highlight our roadmap there and our investment in infrastructure and partners and the ability to connect platforms. But AWS is just beyond SAP. So not only are we the leader in SAP workloads, We're the leader in customers in AI and ML. We're the leader in IoT workloads, and many, many others. So as we're navigating through our customers' journey to SAP and AWS, we like to expand the scope to look at their overall cloud transformation and make sure that they're considering the leading platform in that space. Second is cost effective, and I know that that's kind of a broad statement, but cost effective can wear a number of different hats or a number of different dimensions as part of it. Meaning that at the high level, you have the OpEx versus CapEx modeling for workloads on the AWS platform, but also the scalability adds a lot of cost effectiveness into your platform, being able to scale up or scale down a workload based on demand, or being able to complete a merger and acquisition with another company or a spinoff to change the configuration of your overall cloud architecture configuration or cloud presence. So again, the dynamic component of cost effectiveness is really key. And last but not least, secure and compliant. AWS treats all workloads as production workloads. All security standards are the same for AWS workloads, whether it's an ERP, a data lake, or any other type of enterprise solution that a customer has interest in. So ultimately, those are the three key drivers why we think AWS is the leader for SAP. Again, a history of innovations. So in that roadmap slide earlier, these are a couple of callouts that we'd like to highlight with our customers and our partners. SAP applications on any database, meaning that quite simply, if SAP supports a platform or a service or a product, they support it on AWS, meaning that the entire Business Suite platform, Business Warehouse, S4 HANA, even what we're now calling the non-HANA databases such as Oracle, DB2, MS SQL are supported on the AWS platform. If you have questions about support of SAP applications on AWS, wondering if this will run on AWS or if that will run on AWS from an SAP support perspective, please connect with us directly. We're happy to share that information with you. And also SAP and AWS has the joint OSS note together, which shows all of the applications and database configuration support on our platform. Quite simply, it's quite pretty much everything at this point. In terms of the latest innovations, S4 HANA, the latest and greatest from a transactional ERP from SAP, is supported on the AWS platform. As I mentioned, again, up to a 48 terabyte scale up configuration in that space. And then again, SAP as a customer, as I mentioned in the beginning, utilizes the AWS platform and today runs a majority of the SAP Cloud Platform on AWS infrastructure. And then last but not least, industry innovation tracks. Again, we've been working with our customers in that 5,000 base over the past number of years to build industry-specific solutions and look at industry-specific trends for their SAP workload running on AWS. So a little bit about market leadership and analysis. So it's one thing for me as an AWS employee here to say that, hey, we think we're the leader and we're running a lot of customers, but ultimately we look to the analyst community to confirm that information as well. So happy to share that Gartner has ranked AWS again for the 9th consecutive year as the leader in the cloud marketplace. And again, this is a business that we've built over a number of years, starting in 2006, and our leader Andy Jassy of the AWS organization continually says there's no compression algorithm for experience. So again, we've learned a lot over these past number of years of building a platform, and it's allowed us to be the leader for, again, 9 years in that space. Doubling down specific in SAP workloads, happy to share that ISG again ranked AWS as leader for SAP HANA workloads in 2019. So again, as we look at supporting our customers with the AWS platform, we want them to know that we're the leader in multiple dimensions, and ultimately we want to help you and your business innovate with our platform at scale. So I'll hand it over to Alan here from Proterra to share a little bit about what they did with Tidewater. Really an incredible story. So Alan, the floor is all yours. Listen in.
All right, thanks so much. Thanks for that great introduction and talking a lot about AWS capabilities, Carl. Again, very happy to be joined today by Lee Johnson, CIO of Tidewater. And what we're going to do, we're going to have a little conversation here, talk about what Lee's story is, taking you all the way from the beginning to sort of where they ended up. So why don't we get started? First, Lee, let me see if I can just get control of the mouse here. Lee, first, for those who aren't familiar with Tidewater, why don't you begin with what is your business and why did you seek out a solution with AWS and with Proterra?
Hey, thanks, Alan. Tidewater owns and operates one of the largest fleets of support vessels in the energy offshore sector. Tidewater has over 5,000 employees and operates in 60 countries. Tidewater acquired Gulfmark Offshore in November 2018. Tidewater had few cloud applications and processes were manual and paper-based. Gulfmark was a cloud-centric company with an integrated SAP platform and streamlined processes and automation. After an evaluation of the systems, the Tidewater Board of Directors selected Gulfmark's SAP platform as the best fit solution to realize merger cost savings and advance Tidewater's efficiencies, automation, and scalability. Tidewater chose Proterra and AWS as partners based on their performance of delivering.
So it's fantastic. So Lee, really, you have Gulfmark, which was the cloud-centric organization, and then Tidewater, which was the larger organization, and bringing those two together was really what caused you to seek out a solution for AWS and Proterra. And of course, let's dive into that in a little bit more detail here. Carl had talked about the common business drivers in his introduction to Amazon. Why don't you tell us, in your case for Tidewater, what were the business drivers for your SAP transformation? Time, cost, other factors. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay, sure. The merger integration project was launched in January 2019. A critical requirement was to complete the project by October 1st. The project team had 9 months to deliver in order to realize $25 million in cost savings by year end. Adding to the complexity of the project, Tidewater was 4 times the scale of Gulfmark based on revenues, vessels, and employees. Project challenges to overcome were scope, complexity, and a 9-month implementation deadline.
Okay, so really, we're going to come back to this at the end. You have the 9-month deadline, you have the $45 million merger target, and then the complexity of an organization 4 times the size of Gulfmark. So I know we're going to come back at the end of a couple of questions and see how well you and the Tidewater organization did against those goals. Why don't we talk about the approach? What was your approach to your SAP transformation?
The mandate was to create a secure SAP platform that provided the business functionality, enterprise efficiencies, resilience, and scalability for global Tidewater. The platform needed to support future acquisitions. SAP and AWS required proper sizing and stress testing to support the increased workloads of users and functions. A suite of mobility apps were leveraged to accelerate acceptance of SAP and the new processes.
So just taking a couple of notes here, the readiness for the future, simplification, you have up here innovation as well. I think later on, actually, we're going to dive deeper into that. I know that's something that those out in the audience, we have half the audience here who are in the planning phase. They're really going to be interested in some specifics about maybe something that you can do specifically with the cloud that you weren't able to before. So I know we'll return to that. For the moment, though, Lee, why don't we go to this next question here, which is, what factors led to your success with this transformation project?
Okay. The project team created a bold plan to achieve go live in October. This included early deliverables to gain user confidence in SAP. Processes were simplified across functional areas with the mission of not introducing complexity into SAP. Theme was on creating simple and integrated processes. Project team leveraged best practices and tools from stress testing to data migration to automation. Team created high-touch communications with the board, executive team, management, and employees. The project team used agile practices to accelerate development and implementation by performing weekly sprints. The critical success enabler for this project was the Tidewater employees and supporting partners. From the resilience of our project team, unwavering support from our board, CEO, and management, to the active engagement of global users. The Tidewater organization and employees embrace change in accepting SAP. This makes all the difference. So transformations are extremely challenging, and this project was a merger, integration, and a transformation. According to McKinsey,
go ahead, Lee. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. According to McKinsey, the management consulting firm, only 30% of corporate transformations are successful.
So Lee, and apologies for interrupting you twice there. A lot of times we tend to talk about the technology that goes into a project, but I see here, according to your approach, where your innovations and successes, you talk about the project plan. That's really more of an organizational item. You talk about simplify the business. That's really more of a process item. The tools here, again, often we talk about the technology. And then the last is really a strategy for picking partners, and a strategy for really enabling, as you mentioned, the people power. So it's very interesting that oftentimes when organizations, and again, there are so many on the phone here today who are in the planning phase, they go and look at perhaps the technical pieces. And again, we're going to dive into that in a moment, but it's very interesting that what you brought out, 3 of the 4 key items here are really above and beyond the base technology. So I think that's something very interesting for those who are maybe taking notes on how to perform their own transformations for them to keep in mind. So that's a very good learning, I think, on this slide here. Lee, just keeping an eye on the clock here. I know we have a lot of material to go through. I'd like it if we could maybe fast forward a little bit to the results. So if we could go ahead and take a look at, based upon your initial objectives, what were the results of the SAP transformation? And why don't we first begin with your transformation or your automation results, and since we are talking about that.
Sure. The project team transformed 13 functional organizations by creating efficiencies through automation and process improvement. 40+ manual processes were automated and incorporated into SAP. Most of these involve paper and Excel spreadsheets. Interface automations were implemented across our fleet, eliminating data entry, Excels, and email processes. Team deployed 20 new and enhanced existing apps to simplify the processes across functions. Tidewater has created a leaner organization promoting efficiencies and customer service. Management layers have been reduced from 6 layers to 4 to create a simplified and more efficient organization. Leveraging technology to support these changes by providing timely financials, greater empowerment of field management, and faster decision-making.
Fantastic. And again, I mean, this is all in the context of a combination of a smaller organization, and I think you said with a 4 times larger organization that was really more of a paper-based organization. So that's incredible that you're able to have these results. You talked a little bit about some of these automations. Why don't we go a little bit more into some of the efficiencies that you got, above and beyond really above and beyond sort of the basics of the transformation.
Sure. So the project team delivered 16 quick win projects prior to go live in October. These provided users with confidence and early use of SAP and apps. The accounts payable function is 99% electronic for vendor invoices, including OCR technology and treasury integrations. Our shore-based staff is teleworking globally to the COVID-19 and made possible because of AWS, SAP, and Tidewater networks. Project team is targeting 2 data centers for decommissioning by transitioning premise-based applications to the cloud.
Now, you mentioned COVID-19. I know that's on a lot of people's minds. If we have a chance, we'll take a follow-up question on that. But I think it is very interesting that this change this transformation that you were able to do successfully, and again, we're still going through the results here, was something that, as you mentioned here, put you in a position to be able to adapt readily to the current situation that we're in. Obviously, this is not something you planned for, the COVID-19, but because of the transformation that you went through, it looks like it puts you in a strong position to be able to continue your business through this time. So that's just another fantastic outcome here, maybe an unplanned outcome, but a fantastic outcome. Let's talk a little bit about cloud. I want to go into a little more detail here. You mentioned in your introduction, Lee, that Golfmark was the cloud-centric kind of organization, and part of your transformation was to bring some of that philosophy to that 4 times larger organization, Tidewater. and see kind of what you could achieve there. So why don't we talk a little bit about sort of the cloud aspect of your transformation and what you were able to achieve there?
Yeah. So Tidewater is now a cloud-centric company with 85% of shore-based applications in the cloud. Previously, Tidewater was at 10% cloud usage. The user acceptance of apps has been excellent. 80% of our SAP users use apps only for their functional work. Complex and manual processes have been simplified with extensive digital integrations. This has eliminated data duplication, rework, manual tasks, and disconnected processes. Another advantage is Tidewater's IT support model has increased to a 24/7 operation. We have global teams and partners available to support incidents and escalations 24/7 across all areas of operation.
Wow. So again, when Carl introduced reasons why many companies make the move and talked about some of the different drivers, we see it right here, simplification. This is something that you achieved, and also an increase, an improvement in your support model, really increasing adoption with cloud. These are again tremendous returns, and really kind of validating what we're seeing for customers who've gone through. But let's go to the bottom line here. Again, you had a 9-month target. If I got my notes correct, it was a $45 million synergy target. If I have my notes correct here, why don't we go through and see how you did?
Okay. So Tidewater's AWS has 80 servers and 45 terabytes of data. This includes a pilot light disaster recovery as a service infrastructure. The project team delivered to Tidewater's SAP platform on time to plan October 1st in 9 months by leveraging quick wins, agile practices, and onboarding strategies. One of the significant achievements was to accelerate the month-end financial close from 25 days to 5 days, and improving accuracy and delivery of financial results to management for faster decision-making. The 5-day close was an aspirational goal that was considered unreachable a year ago, but was achieved through automation. Another impressive accomplishment was outperforming on merger cost savings. Tidewater achieved $65 million in merger cost savings, beating the original $45 million target. Exceeding the merger savings target by $20 million is a rarity in the energy sector.
Lee, this is incredible. Your target for savings was $45 million, and you beat that, by $20 million, almost by 50%. Incredible. And again, really a validation of the strategy and the approach that you took here. Also very interesting, and I want to make sure people understand this. You had a month-end close, which was 25 days, which basically is the whole month. So basically, you're continually closing, which of course makes your decision-making process a little more challenging. And with this transformation, you were able to take that 25-day close down to 5 days. So really incredible. You have an 80% reduction. You got this down from 25 to 5 days, and I'm sure this is just one of the many benefits that you've seen in terms of helping that organization become more leaner and more mature in its processes. And I think as you and I were talking before, there's an overall approach to process maturity, which your cloud transformation can be a part of. So I do want everyone to understand the fantastic results that you've achieved here, but also let's take a minute and maybe talk about a little kind of maybe at a higher level about process maturity, maybe where you see where you are and where you're headed. And I know we had prepared a graph here, which I'm going to put up on process maturity. So why don't we move to that? And you can tell us a little bit about what your strategy is here and where you're headed with process maturity.
Yes, thanks. The process maturity model illustrates how Tidewater has advanced from level 1 to level 3 with the SAP implementation. So level 1 was somewhat ad hoc, and level 3 gets into where you're talking about proactive processes. Tidewater's 13 functional organizations have been optimized and recalibrated for efficiencies with automation and process simplification. The capability maturity model integration level 3 is classified as defined and awakened. where processes are proactive rather than reactive. Post go live, the project team is applying new technologies and continuous improvements to advance to the next level, level 4.
So I would love to be having a further discussion with you as you launch the next set of projects, and perhaps we come back on this and sometime we look back and say, look, this is what we did before, and now this is the next set of achievements. So really looking forward to having that future discussion. Lee, as we went through, I want to turn to a different topic here. As we went through and talked about your approach, you did talk about innovation, and just again, look at my notes here. I want, if we can spend a minute, let's just go deeper for a moment and go into one area that I think would be very interesting for our users, especially if there are maybe some more technical members of the audience. Let's go deeper here. What is something that you can do now that you're on the AWS platform that you could not do before? So let's go a little deeper here. I'm going to flip to the next slide, and you can talk about this this innovation.
Okay. Yeah, there are limitless capabilities available now for Tidewater. One of the recent innovations was the creation of SAP Rapid Daily Clones. Tidewater was looking for an automated solution that could provide daily copies of SAP production. The daily SAP clones allows our teams to test complex programs in a simulated production environment. By leveraging the daily clones, the teams are able to isolate and correct issues prior to release to production. Proterra was able to deliver the fully automated rapid clones within 30 days by leveraging native cloud technologies. This has improved productivity for our development team and facilitated our 5-day financial close.
So really, Lee, it's not just about taking the automation and cloud-centric approach and rolling it out to the larger organization, meeting those strict time and cost targets, but now through this technology here and through AWS as a platform, you're able to do something new and unique, which is which helps accelerate your development cycle, which ultimately helps you support your business users more effectively and helps you become more of that lean, optimized organization. So really incredible here how moving to the platform in combination with a unique application of technology can help make a real change in how you're running the business today and kind of what's available for you in terms of objectives for the future. With that, Lee, let's again explore a little bit more. What are some other technology innovations that you're exploring for Tidewater? Some other kind of next step ideas, and again, a lot of audience on the phone is thinking about plans for the future. What are some areas that you think perhaps others listening in might be interested in hearing about where you're taking Tidewater?
Yeah, so Tidewater has started several AI, artificial intelligence projects. One pilot is using RPA, robotic process automation, to create self-service financial reporting. The second AI pilot is a chatbot for easy access to documents and status. These projects are considered game changers. Tidewater is also converting premise-based applications to AWS workspaces and AppStream. Tidewater continues to explore new technologies that advance efficiencies and productivity for our employees. And many of these solutions are available because of the cloud.
Fantastic. So the next question I had lined up for you here was about COVID-19. I think we covered this as you talked about getting the platform in a state that can support these teleworkers. And again, this is just a further example of what being prepared can do. You guys were put in a situation or in a position to be able to handle the situation very well. And I think for any in the audience that want further details about this, maybe put it in the chat or you can contact us. There's an email at the end, and we can. I'm just kind of watching the time here. We can follow up on this one a little bit more in detail later, if that's okay by you. And then also we had one other question here, which was thoughts that you might give other CIOs running SAP and developing ERP consolidation strategies. Honestly, now that I hear the story here that you're telling, this could be a very long discussion about some of the best practices that you've learned. And again, this might be something that could be applicable maybe for a follow-up or something that we could handle if we get some interest from the audience on going deeper into this topic. I do want to have a chance to turn to two final questions, and again, give the audience a time to weigh in as well. So the second to last question here is, when is the right time to begin taking advantage of the tools and capabilities that cloud can deliver? There's a tremendous amount of capabilities now available, as Carl mentioned. If I'm in the audience, half the audience members, I think, are already working on a project, half are planning. When is the right time to begin taking advantage of these capabilities, Lee?
Okay, I would say the right time is now. The cloud transformation is a journey. If your company is not embracing the cloud, I recommend you start immediately. Embracing the cloud will transform your company and your IT organization. Companies can't be competitive, agile, efficient, and scalable without embracing technology in the cloud. One of the things that we see out of COVID-19 experience has proven that technology in the cloud are the new normal.
Yeah, I mean, that last point is a very strong point. I'm sitting here like many of you in home, using the cloud to connect virtually and to continue to move business forward for my company. You and your projects have allowed you to do that for Tidewater. I think one lesson that is really clear for all of us is if you're not taking advantage of the cloud, your competition is, and it's something that you really should be moving to the forefront of your project priority list. And again, with experiences like yours, I think we can really see that companies who are making those, taking those initiatives are getting the returns and are getting the benefits that they're looking for. Lee, final question for you here. What are the most important factors to keep in mind when choosing partners for SAP transformation? So what goes through your mind, or what do you think should be at the top of a list when an organization is thinking about partners to join them in their SAP transformation?
So I think it's critical that you find a partner who has proven experience in SAP and AWS. SAP and AWS experience and skill set is unique, and only a few consulting companies fit this criteria. A trusted partner will allow you to advance your company in efficiencies and scalability.
Lee, I want to thank you so much. That's the end of my questions here. There might be some more in the chat. We'll turn it over to Carl in a moment. I want to talk a little bit about Proterra, but before I do, I just wanted to thank you. And again, tremendous results. You had a very complex undertaking to take an organization that was a cloud-centric organization, join it with an organization that was 4 times larger. You had a very, very tight deadline. You hit that deadline. You had a cycle time acceleration of 25 days down to 5 days. You had a synergy target of 45 million. You exceeded that by 20 million. So that's $65 million achievement, a fantastic achievement, and position your organization not only to be continuing to run its business through the time of COVID-19, but also you're starting to take advantage of these new capabilities and new technologies. So really just a fantastic experience, and really enjoyed hearing from you today. Thank you so much. Before I turn it over to you, Carl, just want to talk a little bit about Proterra, take a minute or two here, and then I'll turn it back over to you. Tamara Technologies is a SAP certified and AWS partner. Our focus over the last 20 years of business has been helping organizations like Tidewater and helping CIOs like Lee make their transformation to the cloud with their SAP, and then get the most out of running their SAP on the cloud. You heard Lee talk about some of the innovations that we are developing hand in hand with Lee. That's something that we've been doing for over 20 years, and just am really excited and happy that we are able to share these stories. Proterra FlexBridge is our in-house technology. It's our intelligent transformation and management platform that we use to help customers like Lee make these transformations, get to AWS at up to 3 times the speed, save up to 30 to 50% of the time and cost, both of making that transformation or migration, as well as in running your application, running your SAP on AWS. And then also it's the platform for some of the innovations that Lee talked about. So Really excited that we were able to work hand in hand with Lee and deliver some of these results. And also, of course, looking forward to having further conversations with those of you listening today or on the replay. Before I turn it over to Carl, I just want to make one kind of special offer for those listening in. We have what's called an SAP on AWS Transformation Assessment, particularly for the 50% of listeners who are planning to do something or don't have a specific plan in the next 12 months. One of the misconceptions that we want to address is that getting to AWS can be difficult. That's a misconception that we want to address. And how we do it is using our tool, using an automated software-driven process. We are able to quickly assess what your current landscape looks like, understand where you want to go, how you want to move that, and through a variety of automations, which we don't have time to get into today, can very, very quickly help you understand how quickly you can get your SAP and related applications over to AWS, what you can do then, what the agility will look like, what the cost savings will look like, essentially give you a preview of what your future could look like running your SAP on AWS, and also help you go through some alternate scenarios. Should I go as is? Should I do an upgrade? Should I upgrade before I go? Should I upgrade after? So there's a couple of questions that many customers have, and through the use of our exclusive Proterra FlexBridge platform, we're able to help you understand those different options and really help you see how straightforward the process can be and get you to those to get to the cloud and get you to those benefits that Lee talked about. So for those listening today on the replay, put your information into the chat, or we're going to put an email address up in a couple of slides, and let's have a conversation on how quickly we can help you go through this transformation assessment, get you started on your journey to SAP on AWS. Okay. So again, Lee, thank you so much to those in the audience. I hope this section was useful. Was really, to me, fascinating results, and looking forward to working with you in the audience on your own transformation assessments. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Carl.
Awesome. Lee, Alan, thank you. Awesome, really awesome story there from start to finish. Definitely unpacked a lot of details, and I learned a lot along the way. So for those folks on the webinar, if you have any questions, please pop them into the questions window on your control panel. I've got about 4 or 5 in here already that I want to talk with the team about with about the 13 minutes that we have remaining. And as Alan mentioned, there's one final closing slide. So going to facilitate a couple of questions here, Alan and Lee. So I'll direct them where I think is appropriate. But let me start with just the first one here. So there's a question around looking for some more information about how Tidewater planned user adoption and address it. So I think there was an earlier call out about user adoption of the platform, and the organization was very comfortable with it. But I think the question, Lee, specifically for you is, talk to us a little bit more detail about change management strategy and cloud adoption.
Right. Well, some of it was based on technology. We leveraged mobility apps, and that actually made the process simple. So it was, a lot of people really liked the apps, and because it was a simplified process, simplified data. We also did that high touch that I kind of mentioned about from a change management. We did weekly sprints of functionality, and we also did some early, we had 16, quick wins. So we had initiatives, 16 projects that we actually implemented, including we actually took one of the business units of Tidewater and loaded that into SAP several months. It was in April, well before the October go live, just to do assessments.
Fantastic, fantastic. There's a question here, and I think we talked about a little bit already, but maybe looking for some more final confirmation details. Do you feel, Lee, that this transformation that you went through here as a leader for your organization could have been done without the cloud, right? So could it have been done in the same time frame and the same costs without a cloud provider and without a cloud-focused partner?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that there's a lot of things that we actually applied with the cloud. We did a lot of stress testing. If we had premise-based equipment infrastructure, that would have been a lot of drama. It was very easy to spin up. One of the innovations that we kind of talked about was the SAP Rapid Clones. Those were possible within 30 days. And actually, within a couple of weeks, we actually had them in test mode. So the cloud is allowing you the capability of not getting into a lot of the infrastructure. It's really infrastructure on demand, which really took that part away from worrying about the cloud. I mean, we had Proterra as a partner. They did stress testing. They did proactive monitoring of infrastructure. But it was really the ease of the cloud that makes it very promising.
Got it. Wonderful. Lots of questions popping in, both Lee and Alan, around the app portfolio in your enterprise, right? So certainly SAP has a number of applications. You talked about integration with other applications. So at a high level, this platform that has been deployed here, talk to us about the app interfaces across the enterprise.
Yeah, so we built an app interface or integration with SAP several years ago at Golfmark, and we were able to leverage that. And we're actually using like OData processes, but the key thing is that we're just trying to keep it simple. And so most of our apps are very simple, and it's really for the practitioners. So you don't have to be an SAP guru. You don't have to know T codes. You just have to know your business process, whether it's purchasing or accounting or HR. You just really need to understand the business.
Got it. And in terms of, I would say, consumability of these apps, Lee, are these desktop apps, web apps on iOS, Android devices? What's the connectivity point for the end user, or all the above, maybe?
Yeah, you can use it on all the platforms.
Okay, wonderful. I have a question out here from, lots of questions coming in. Oh, wow. Question out here from the group to talk about, and Alan, maybe this is a little bit more on your side, talk about the recommendations for backup, DR, and HA architecture for this particular.
Sure, yeah. And I do want to add to the previous question, we engage many times, basically all the time that we engage with customers, when we talk about the SAP transformation, pretty much all the time it's SAP and related non-SAP apps. Sometimes 2/3 of the solution ends up being adjoining non-SAP applications that are part of that transformation to the cloud. So a whole laundry list of attached applications that are commonly a part of our SAP transformations is what we see. Okay, so the question here was about, could you repeat again, Carl, real quick?
HA and DR.
HA and DR, okay. So what we do as part of our Proterra FlexBridge platform is we have encoded into our agent technology basically an automated design of our HA and DR, which is based upon three things. It's based upon the latest Amazon certified technologies. It's based upon what SAP has certified, and it's based upon what we have encountered in, we run over 1,500 SAP systems. So it's based upon our years of experience of what makes the best sense to run SAP applications safely, as well as how can we best take advantage of the AWS environment. And these design decisions are now actually recommendations that are encoded into our platform. So if you're interested in learning more on how we apply those technologies to a specific situation, that's where that SAP on AWS Transformation Assessment comes in. And we will basically automatically generate for you what our HA and DR target architecture will look like, and we can talk to you about the pros and cons of that. So I would say get in touch with us, but basically we're distilling the best practices of SAP and AWS and our own experience into a set of recommendations in our recommendation engine.
Definitely. So maybe just to add a 10-second snippet there, AWS produces a backup and recovery and high availability guide for our partner and customer community, and that's what we require that our partners and customers follow that in terms of support and certification. So as Alan asked the question earlier, what does it take in partner selection? It's abiding by those standard best practices. Lee, one more question from your side. This is actually around cost governance. So question specifically around what new cost and financial governance models or processes that you have to put in place with this migration to the cloud? And it's actually a super relevant question, as the AWS platform really has ultimately endless limits in terms of compute, storage, networking, and products available for customers. How do you govern that within your organization to make sure that you're at and on plan?
Yeah. So we've been on AWS, or prior to Tidewater was GulfMark, we've been on AWS for a while, and it's probably 6-7 years. And we had to manage the AWS infrastructure and the cost. So today, we can manage, for example, we can manage most of the IT infrastructure in the cloud with less than one resource. So in the past, we used to have several resources that were required to manage premise-based infrastructure. Those people right now, resources, we are working with the fleet. So we've actually put them into value creation places rather than in back office places. And but we do monitor, the savings and the costs and all that kind of stuff. But you know, the trade-off is that we want the IT people, instead of being back office infrastructure people, we want them to be front office and value creation resources.
Wonderful, wonderful. Last question, and then we'll wrap up to the last slide. Lee, again, this one's for you. You're a hot panelist here this morning. Question is did you evaluate other cloud providers in deploying this solution? And if you did, twofold is what led you to choose AWS over some other cloud provider that you evaluated?
Yeah, so initially when we embarked on the cloud, we actually looked at different options, and we looked at different cloud providers and companies that provided. In fact, we were actually, our SAP at one point at GulfMark was on a different cloud provider. And we just, based on the efficiencies, the cost savings, et cetera, AWS had the most tools and the most efficiency and cost savings for our migration.
Wonderful, thanks for that. Okay, Alan, so I know that we have one last slide that we want to present here at the end. I think we've wrapped through all the questions, so I will clip forward to this one and let you close it out.
Yeah, so fantastic. Again, thank you, Lee. Thank you so much, and thank you to Carl and AWS for the opportunity to share the story with the audience today. Again, half are doing a project and half are in the research phase. So hopefully you've seen some good information for both audiences. I strongly encourage anyone who is not actively doing a project to think about what you've heard today. Think about the results that Lee and others like Lee have achieved, and to put getting that assessment on your to-do list. So click on that link. We'll tell you a little bit more about, we can tell you a little bit more about what this SAP on AWS Transformation Assessment entails. It's something that can be done virtually, obviously, and is a very insightful way to determine at a high level when should you embark on your transformation project. Or get in touch with us today at awssap@proterra.com. Those of you who like social media, please connect on LinkedIn. But again, if you are in the planning phase, cloud, if it's not in your present, it's in your future. And I encourage you strongly to think about making your future today. And so get started with this SAP on AWS Transformation Assessment. Then you can start to figure out what it would be like for you and your organization to get the kind of benefits that Lee and Tidewater have been able to achieve with Proterra and with AWS.
Wonderful, thank you, Alan. So in closing, Lee, thank you so much for your time here today, and thank you for being an AWS customer. Look forward to supporting your business today and in the future with our platform throughout that process. Alan, thank you for again moderating on the Tidewater side and being a wonderful partner, helping us scale our SAP and AWS business for a number of years. So certainly a lot of thanks there, and thanks to all that joined and invested 60 minutes of your time. Happy to support all customers here on the AWS platform and ultimately educate many to learn more. So signing off from my side, thanks so much for the time, everyone, and hope that everyone has a great rest of the day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.